No White Guilt Clips, love this name, writes, Jason, I have a victory to share. Well, we've got to read this one before taking a look at, see if we have any financial gifts. It's just so many testimonies. My God, I love it. And keep bringing them. Keep bringing your victories. Keep making your testimonies in all of these different ways. Do it. This is how we're changing the world. Jason, I have a victory to share. I recently attended an information session for an internship in an extremely blue-collar field. Thus, I was somewhat surprised and annoyed when I heard the speakers start to pontificate about white privilege and the benefits of diversity. I didn't expect it, though I probably should have. My confusion subsided, but my frustration grew when I realized the circumstances of this event. The company was looking to increase its diversity. So in other words, get rid of the white people. After realizing that's how we always phrase it like that, ladies and gentlemen. After realizing this, I wanted to leave. But then I thought of Crucible and your heroic opposition to anti-whiteism as a child. Think about that right there. We were just talking about if a child can do it, can stand up 11, 12, 13 years of age, then we can do it as adults. So already we see something happening by Crucible, the story of Crucible getting out to this hero right here, No White Guilt Clips. Inspired by your courage and empowered with the lexicon and dialectics of Go Free, I decided to stay and confront the anti-whiteism I was experiencing rather than sit and take it, not knowing what to say or afraid of looking foolish if I did. And then open parenthesis, potential reactions, like these thoughts going through the head, I guess, like, quote, oh, poor straight white man, you have it so hard, close quote, and open quote, white people must have it easy if this is what you are offended by, close quote, would play in my head, undermining any will to defend myself, and then close paren there. So that was a parenthetical about the concern he would have otherwise had if he had not been empowered by the lexicon and dialectics of Going Free and inspired by my actions in my junior high school, having read it in Crucible. And also, I have no doubt, by all of your testimonies here inspiring him. When the Q&A section began, I raised my hand and asked the speakers, quote, when you say diversity, you mean, oh, he says it, quote, when you say diversity, you mean fewer white people, right? Question mark. I wish you could have seen the panic on their faces. One of them, a woman, the panic on their faces. I love it. One of them, talk about being, this is like taking groyping to nirvanic levels. This is taking groyping to the next level, to actually be an adult and oppose anti-whiteism, behave like a hero and defend Western kind and serve Western kind, go after anti-whiteism rather than fancy yourself as some sort of frog or child or whatever it is. I wish you could have seen the panic on their faces. One of them, a woman, diffidently answered no and claimed that diversity referred to diverse backgrounds of individuals, regardless of race. Oh, what horse shit. Talk about absolutely terrifying these anti-whites. Oh, so when you say, I would have given anything to be there. This is fantastic. How many people was this in front of? When you say diversity, you mean fewer white people. We got to get rid of, if we're going to have more diversity, we're not going to have more jobs. So we got to get rid of white people. That's what you mean. No. Oh, no. We're not anti-white. Already won. No White Guilt Clips. This guy already won the conversation. No, please. No, we're just talking about background. We're not anti-white. Dissatisfied with the answer, I probed further. Quote, so then you would hire only white people if they had the qualifications and diverse backgrounds you were looking for? She said yes, an obvious lie for public consumption as you would put it, Jason. Yes, exactly. Oh my God, this is fantastic. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, only white people we would hire. Everyone in that room, I'm sure, knew that she was lying. Where were we? I wanted to push further, but did not want to look obsessive or aggressive, so I let the interaction subside. That was smart. You just detonated a field of white roses in that room, and they were no way were they going to escape either the redolence if they were taken to it, or the thorns if they were anti-whites. Beautiful. In the next opportunity to speak, however, I asked the main speaker if she could provide proof of the anti-white concept of white privilege. Oh, that is great. Could you give us some proof of this So he called it an anti-white concept. That's the important thing. That's our story. That's our story. This guy is rocking heroism levels right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is like he's pinging the top. The tachometer's gone all the way over. That's our story. Call it an anti-white concept. Now you framed it. They're on our field. You don't just say, could you define white privilege for me? Could you show some evidence for white privilege? You're in their story then. He goes on, he writes more here saying, she denied that she was anti anyone another victory, and said she only mentioned privilege in general, not white privilege specifically. Oh my God. These people, if this were like blood, if this were in a cage match, they're like organs are falling out of their bodies at this point. They are bloodied and messed up, but of course we're not violent, so they are nonetheless, they are besotted with the aroma, with the what is that? Well, I don't want to go that direction with it either. That's funny, but I don't want to say it. They're besotted with the mellifluous notes of white well-being. And so they're running away from this. They are running as fast as they can. This is victory after victory. Talk about haymakers. But then, of course, she complained that there were too many white men in this industry. Oh, good. Yeah. Revealing who and what she actually is. But I'm sure it was like sort of like this tentative and revealing for everybody in that room. After being told to, quote, educate myself on the meaning of diversity. This, haven't we just talked about this the past couple shows? These anti-white normally comes from the females. And we even had two of the ones that wrote me, I shared with you all, where they come at you and just give it right back. When they give you this like pompous, sneering, unctuous, I'm just gonna talk down to you, supercilious attitude, you just give it right back at them. There's nothing that drives them more insane. As soon as you give it right back to them, they will run to their vehicle and they'll fire up their phone and they will scream into their phones and make videos of themselves. He writes here, I left the room with the words, diversity means fewer white people. So he said, this hero, this absolute legend, said diversity means fewer white people as he walks out, as the last word for everybody to hear. The best part, after the presentation ended, I learned that another person in the audience began challenging the speaker's anti-whiteism after I had left. That is exactly what you want to have happen. This is a victory all the way around. Huge round of raucous emojis for this guy. Also, he writes, the two follow-up presentations planned for that day were canceled. I will be notified, quote, when or if they are rescheduled. Oh my God. The huge round of raucous emojis for this guy. No white guilt clips. Left the room. Somebody else complained. He inspired somebody else to complain about the anti-whiteism. And why was it easy for that other person to complain about anti-whiteism? Because there was blood in the water. The anti-whites were running from the lexicon and the refielding of the conversation. That's a paradigm shift. I've said it a million times, I'll keep saying it, that once we get over to the new paradigm, every idiot is going to say, well, of course it was going to end up here. It was the obvious thing. Any dummy would know that. Yeah, that's what idiots will say, because they don't know how hard it is to go from one paradigm to another. Look at all these content producers that they look at all of the success and they still can't shift out of the paradigm. Look at yourself. All the time you keep falling back in to the anti-white paradigm. It's like, oh, I'm pulling myself out, and then I'm right back in. I'm using their lexicon. I'm seeing things from their point of view. I'm talking to them about their issues as though I'm the bad guy in their story. I need to feel guilt for some reason. Paradigm shift is huge. What this guy did shook the building. What this guy did, or I guess I should say, does he actually use I think it's a guy, shook the building. It absolutely shook the building. The anti-whites were running. Somebody was brave enough to stand up, not like a snarky little bitch, not like some child who just wants to make some sort of a snarky comment, like, aren't these group of people, don't they dance well, or whatever it is, and then walks off. Nobody's going to stand up with that idiot. But intelligently, for the good of white well-being, in a mature way, challenging and defeating the anti-whites, they're fleeing. They're on the ropes. They're trying to cover up from the blows. He leaves. Somebody else says, Jesus, look at this guy just destroyed them, and they're on the ropes. I'm going to say something. I'm tired of this stuff too. Guys or gal stands up and opposes it as well. You know, folks, 1 become 2, then 2 become 20, and then 200, and then 2,000. This is how it happens. And then, if that's not a big enough victory, these anti-white presentations, the next 2, what did it say? 2 follow-up presentations planned for that day were canceled. Where has, now for all of it, and I've said before, when it comes to the groyping, I've said before, I support these people when they want to go out and do this stuff. But what have I said? I've said, you've got to protect yourself. And any content producer who is lauding somebody who's putting themselves in danger, ruining their opportunity to make a living or something by making some egregious comment that looks like it's coming from a villain inside the anti-white narrative, that those content creators should be called out for that behavior, because they're ruining people's lives. Where people are going out otherwise and they're making a statement here or there, pointing out a thing or two that the anti-whites are doing, but inside the anti-white narrative, I support it as a general thing. I want these people to be safe. But more than just being safe, I want you to be effective. I want you to, instead of just be a snarky bitch and get a laugh and get a giggle and hit the bong or whatever it is, instead of just, and good for you. If you're going to, you're going to do, I support it. I support you. Want to get out, you want to have a laugh, you want to kind of get a little, be snarky and a little impudent or whatever it is, get a little laugh in, so be it. But I would rather have you be effective. Go free. Stand up like this hero did. No one who made a snarky comment and to get a laugh ended up getting 2 more anti-white presentations canceled. These people canceled not because some person got up and made some effronterous remark. If some person got up and made an effronterous remark, they would have held those next 2 presentations and would have planned more, because they would have said, look at this infantilism. Look at these bigots showing up with this infantile comments, mirroring the villains we see on TV every single night. They would have planned more for your workplace. Instead, they came up against a proud white, I think, man who spoke maturely and who pigeonholed them in a way that they were so frightened. They thought, if we say any more, we might as well just do these anti-white things, because if we say any more white people might stand up and say, what the hell is going on with firing white people? What's going on with all of this anti-white ideas that you're trying to advance here? None of this is good. That's why they canceled. Now, what do you want? Do you want somebody who's just going to make a snarky remark and then go back to whatever it is, another pint at the pub or another hit on the bong or whatever? I mean, maybe they're cool people and they're just comedians and they're not, doing what I'm not that people who are getting drunk or whatever can't be cool, but what would you rather have them doing? Being impudent, being effronterous, having a laugh, and engendering more, getting out maybe a little piece of news, a little piece of information. Like, I mean, for God's sakes, if you can get on a radio program, if the only thing that's coming to mind to you is to mention on the radio with your 5 seconds of airtime, do you know how much money the government's giving to Israel? You're an idiot. You're not going to do a damn bit of good for our people. You are in a wrong state, but you don't need to always be an idiot. Look, come on over. I'll give you a hug. Come on over. I'll give you a hug. You can put this idiocy behind you and you can get started on what this guy did. If you get 5 seconds on the radio, you get an opportunity to ask a question. Do not stay inside the anti-white narrative. Go free. Put them on the ropes. He had 2 different people here saying, no, please, not anti-white. And we see this again and again and again. I have a goddamn stack, and this is a fraction. How much more do people need? Why do I still see? I want you all to get this passionate. Why do I still see people who have this wonderful anti-white vocabulary in the white positive sphere? They can talk about all of these different names that the anti-whites have taken for themselves and the years they came into existence and who were the founding personalities, and they'll talk about it all. And their audiences swarm around them to hear more and more about that nothingness, nothing that's going to help anything. And then somebody gets an idea like, we should do something, right? We should call into the radio, or we should stand up at a conference somewhere and ask some tough questions. How does that sound? What should we ask? Well, let's ask them about how much money they give to Israel. Let's ask them about somebody dancing. Let's ask them about whether or not something else that's going to inside the anti-white narrative. Like, why is it that the leader of this group used to praise Bolsheviks? And then everybody's going to have, yeah, well, you got them there. You got them good. Why is that word used? You know what? If you use the word Marxist or Bolshevik or whatever, that is lame. Just get it out of your vocabulary. Unless you're teaching history, get it out of your vocabulary. Marxist, Bolshevik, all of that stuff, lame. None of it's happening. Don't use the names of their taking. We give them the names that we call them by. Just like they give us names they want to call us by. What's wrong with everybody in the white positive sphere? That you can't be as courageous, as manly, as focused. You have to use their language. Sake. I'm getting a little irritated. Let's move on. Hero, Azimuth Clark. Well, let me look at we got some more. We got a deck more of success.